Here's a Symphonic model 1518 record player that I picked up at the flea market this morning. Looks to be probably late 50s, possibly very early 60s. Just a simple mono record player with volume and tone controls. Case is a little dirty on it, but I think it'll clean up and be presentable. And we have an early issue BSR Monarch record changer. And I think this particular changer was used up until about 1961 when they came out with a new design. Checked the tracking force on this tone arm, and it tracks at 16 grams, which we're going to have to do something about that. So let's plug this up and see what happens. Turn it on and let it warm up a minute. This changer is going to need mechanical work, and the platter mat is dry rotted, which is no surprise. Uses a 2-tube amplifier, I believe. Just uses an output tube and a rectifier tube, no preamp stage. So this is one of those models that uses a 3-volt crystal cartridge, which I will most likely install a more modern 1-volt cartridge and modify the amp with a preamp tube if space permits on the chassis. So as you can hear, we have a lot of filter capacitor hum. Volume all the way up. Tone control. So yeah, this changer is definitely gunked up and needs some help. Yeah, the old grease dries up in these things after 50 years, and you just have to take them completely apart and re-lubricate everything. I'll have to do some research to determine exactly when this model was made, but thinking probably around 58, 59, maybe 1960, somewhere around there. So let me pull the cover off and show you the amplifier before we finish this. And you can see my dog coming down here to help out with this. Okay, you can't really see in there that well, but there's the chassis. It has two 4-inch speakers and a little 2-tube amplifier chassis that consists of a rectifier tube and output tube. Let me look real quick and see if I can find any date codes that'll tell me exactly when this thing was made. Okay, I'm finding date codes of 1958 on the tubes in this record player, which appear to be the original tubes. Now, don't confuse the Symphonic brand with the current Symphonic brand that's owned by Funai Electronics, which is a maker of cheap, low-end throwaway garbage. I believe back in the 1950s, Symphonic was their own brand, and they actually made somewhat decent stuff. Here's the cartridge in this record player. I believe this was called a full-fi cartridge, a BSR full-fi cartridge. And like I said, it tracks at 16 grams, so that's going to have to be replaced. I'll likely just put a modern Fan Steel P228 stereo cartridge in here, and that way I can play stereo and mono records on this thing. And if possible, I'll add a 12 AV6 tube to the chassis for a preamp stage if space permits. Okay, there you go, my 1958 Symphonic record player. Thanks for watching, and more to come later. Maybe you'll see this thing in operation within the next 5 years. Okay, here's something I just found interesting. Assuming you're replacing this cartridge with an identical part, they make it very easy to replace. You don't even have to remove the mounting bracket. You just see if I can do this here. Well, slide off of there. You did it a minute ago. There we go. See, the cartridge just slides off of its mounting bracket. Now, like I said, I'm probably going to replace this with a standard 1/2-inch mount fan steel P228 1-volt stereo cartridge, and then I'll do the preamp modification to the chassis. And I'm thinking the best way to probably do that is to remove the original can filter capacitor, which is already bad, and use that mounting hole for my 12 AV6 tube socket, and I can mount the replacement filter capacitors, which are smaller, out of sight under the chassis there. So yeah, I think this will be a neat little player to get working again. Okay, I really am done this time. Thank you for watching, and you'll see it in operation one day. I can't say when, but it'll happen one day.